The Texas Chainsaw Massacre was released in 1974. It's directed by Tobe Hooper, and this might be one of the scariest movies that I've ever seen in my life. It was way ahead of its time. It's honestly one of the most gruesome movies you could ever see. I mean, it set the trend for future horror movies. Now, The Exorcist came out, I believe, a year before this in 1973, but after just rewatching The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it is truly one of the most fascinating, sadistic, crazy movies that you will ever see in your entire life. For 1974, honestly, the budget wasn't large, but it truly is one of the craziest features you're ever going to see. So if you're looking for a spooky movie this Halloween season to get you in the Halloween spirit, then look no further than Tobe Hooper's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's actually streaming right now on Netflix. And I just want to talk about how it truly might be the best horror movie of all time. And this is a person, myself, that loved Michael Myers in the original Halloween from 1978. I love The Exorcist. Night of the Living Dead, I think, was the first truly modern horror movie, released in 1968. It was also low budget, black and white, but way ahead of its time. But the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original one, I'm telling you, it's on Netflix right now. It is truly crazy. The stuff that goes on in that movie. And without getting into a huge spoiler, if you haven't watched it yet, there's nothing. You have some friends traveling across the state of Texas. They're going to see a deceased person's grave, I believe, or house. That was the part. You know, they're traveling to this specific place, a family homestead, and they encounter some of the craziest backwoods people that you're ever going to see in your entire life. These are the type of people where if they discover you and there's no way out of town, because these folks had low gas, they didn't have much fuel. It always happens something, right? There's always some kind of disaster in the midst where somebody has no fuel or somebody's car breaks down. In this instance, it was no fuel. They had to stop to fill up, and some of the craziest, most bizarre people in the history of cinema show up. Your ultimate nightmare. And one thing leads to another. A couple is out in the woods, going out for a dip, and then they stumble across this other house, this pristine looking on the outside farmhouse, but it's not what's on the outside of the farmhouse. It's who's inside the farmhouse. And of course, it's Leatherface. And I'll stop there. I mean, you'll see the rest with your own eyes. Truly some of the most crazy storyline, but it was brilliant at the same time. It was truly a work of art. Tobe Hooper took this movie to the next level, I'm telling you. Just the eeriness. It's like you're there with them, even though it's on the big screen. And he set the entire interior of this farmhouse perfectly. I mean, it's some of the eeriest stuff I've ever seen in my life. And even the random hitchhiker, this is not a huge spoiler, there's going to be a random hitchhiker, one of the weirdest people in the history of film. And The Texas Chainsaw might be the best horror movie of all time. And that's saying something. For me to say this, because there's a lot of good movies out there that The Exorcist, Night of the Living Dead, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, I think was a masterpiece. But there's something about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's just perfect in its original form, beginning to end. And the ending was crazy. The build up to the ending was crazy. But it's still a work of art and something that can't be compared to something else. Even the Texas Chainsaw sequels, I haven't seen. It's been years since I've watched the sequels, but I don't think they're going to compare to the original film that was released in 1974. The newer movies don't hold up. Even the remake on Netflix, I think it was in 2022, don't quote me there. Nothing holds up to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I want a special edition of this movie because it's so crazy. It is a work of art. So I'm one of those people where I'm watching this crazy, sadistic stuff, but at the same time, it is a work of art. And of course, it's the character Leatherface is based off of Ed Gein. I think the serial killer, I think he lived in Wisconsin. It's all the rave right now because it's all over Netflix. There's the Ed Gein Monsters documentary. Every year they do a monsters on different real life people. Last year, it was to the Menendez brothers. And Ed Gein's all the rave. Of course, he is, I guess, the godfather of serial killers, in all honesty. I think even the idea of Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs, who apparently this Ed Gein, this documentary is getting a lot of their ideas. Even the music, I hear the song Goodbye Horses is mentioned in this new documentary. And that's just kind of, even though Ed Gein's the original serial killer, it still kind of feels like to me ripping off of Buffalo Bill and Silence of the Lambs movie. If they're using that same exact song, that feels weird. Like, I'm always going to forever associate Goodbye Horses with the Silence of the Lambs, because it was fit perfectly within that movie. But the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, if you've never watched it, you're truly missing out on what's probably one of the most sadistic, scary movies of all time. One of the most original ideas. And, I'm not going to say it's I don't know, it might be. It technically probably is the scariest movie of all time. I mean, that's subjective. Everyone's fearful of different things. I'll admit that the scene in The Exorcist where she's, having that classic scene of the exorcism, that's pretty iconic and scary. The movie Hellraiser, which was based off of a Clive Barker novel, a horror novel, I think it was released in the 80s, called The Hellbound Heart. I think that's the name of the book. Crazy movie. Super dark. Pinhead. From the Hellraiser series, super creepy looking. Has all of course the pins and the devilish look about him. The black garb, very gothic, very dark. That was also one of the most messed up movies I've ever seen. But I have to give it to Texas Chainsaw being the most crazy. It was released in 1974. When you first see Leatherface, you're like, oh my gosh, who is this? What am I watching? What's going to happen next? This movie truly kept me on the edge of my seat. There's this scene where Leatherface is chasing someone, and I'm just like, whoa. I was at the edge of my seat. Was I sweating? I don't think I was sweating, but I felt my arms get prickly because it was so crazy. But this is my message to you, to go rent the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If you have Netflix, it's on Netflix right now. Please check this movie out. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this masterpiece by Tobe Hooper, released in 1974. And if you liked what you've watched so far, please feel free to subscribe to my channel, where I plan on doing more movie reviews, television show reviews, and book reviews. I hope you liked what you've watched. This is just a recommendation to check out Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think it's the scariest movie of all time and the best horror movie of all time. I could keep talking about it, but I don't want to make it overdrawn and just keep harping and harping. This is just my message to you to go check this movie out. It's truly a masterpiece. None of your time will be wasted. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. And remember, go check this movie out.